welcome to this second edition of the Transforming Education series. As you know, this is the second series. This is the second edition of the Transforming Education series. As you know, last month we had the first series and we had a variety of speakers, people who love education, stakeholders in education, who came in, and we were able to talk about how to engage learners during this COVID period. But today we are here and we have a different topic. We want to talk about continuous learning for teachers and students, not necessarily during the COVID times, but as you know, continuous learning is very, very, very critical. Global efforts to transform education recognizes the continuous evolving trends in the workplaces which are affecting education outcomes. Indeed, just like the changes in technology, the jobs requirements of the workplace today are far much different than they were 20 or 30 years ago. In this case, every one of us must continue learning. The teachers need to continue learning. For example, if you look at our students, our 10 or 7, 8-year-olds, they are so much adept with the digital technology. And if these students go to school, they'll find that some of the teachers maybe are not as adept to with the digital technology, things like coding, things like Java, So that means everybody must continue learning. And that means our teachers must continue learning. Even the parents must continue learning. How do you take your kids through homework if you yourself has not been studying? So you have to also, as a parent, we must continue learning. So today we have, amongst us, 6 stakeholders in education. And we have Dr. Tony Devine, who is the Vice President of Education at the Global Peace Foundation. We also have with us Mrs. Senfuni Durojai, who is from the Oracle Academy. She was with us here last time, and today she's gonna, give us more details about how we are able to work, use the Oracle Academy platform to be able to transform education. We also have Mr. Oscar Limoke, who is the Director of Power IT, solution, and he's in charge of Google Classrooms, as you heard last week in the presentation. We also expect Mr. Ndimuli Kahi, who is the chairman of the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association. But he told me he's running late because he has a meeting, but if he joins us, well and good. If he doesn't join us, we will have within us also Mrs. Wanjala Mshila Sio, who is a renowned author of the book, this book called The Law of Success. Mrs. Wanjala Sio is one of the advisory board members of the Global Peace Foundation. So this is, we also have Mrs. Annie Gitau, who is in charge of newspapers in education at the Standard Media Group. As you know, we are partnering with the Standard Media Group, in areas of transforming education in this country. So without much further ado, I want to welcome the Vice President of the Global Peace Foundation International, Dr. Tony Devine. Welcome, Dr. Devine.
Yeah, good afternoon, Daniel and everybody. It's a great pleasure and honor to be with you all today, and good to see many friends on our call. So I'd like to share some thoughts and ideas about transforming education here today. This is a very important topic given the crisis we've had in the last couple of months. It's really brought to the forefront the important work that we are doing together collectively as partners, to provide a stimulating learning environment for our students. Now, a lot of this is going on in the home. We're going to have to prepare for the recovery and also for the future as well. And in speaking for the future, We have important work to do to prepare students for a very rapidly changing world. We saw the world change tremendously in the last few months. But even before this pandemic, we also were aware and cognizant of the fact, economically speaking, that scientific knowledge is creating new opportunities and solutions that can enrich our lives, while at the same time fueling disruptive waves of change in every sector. So our graduates are going to have to deal with this reality. Also, from a social perspective, in large parts of the world, inequalities in living standards and life chances are widening, while conflict, instability, and inertia are increasing. Again, our students are going to have to become really good citizens of the world and deal with these issues. From the environmental point of view, climate change and depletion of natural resources requires urgent attention, action, and adaptation. So the question is, are we adequately preparing our students for this reality that's here in the present? And these issues are only increasing as we go forward. Another concern is, are we preparing our students for the modern economy out there? When we look at companies, small, medium, and large, from every single sector here on this slide, you can see companies from 14 different sectors, from manufacturing to high tech to healthcare to retail. So all of these employers are looking for a new set of skills in their employees. They want people who are collaborative, who are solution orientated. They want people who are really good at relationships, right, with clients, with customers, with peers, good communication ability, creative, and so on. So what you do not see on here is performance in final exams. So the goalposts have changed. So the question is, are we cultivating these kinds of skills and competencies in our students? And for a very, very, very long time, Global Peace Foundation has been advancing work to nurture these core values and skills in our students through our Character and Creativity Initiative, which helps students to be prepared to be good citizens, good neighbors, to be effective workers, right, in their companies and so on. And also that they can develop the initiative and flexibility of thought with an emphasis on personal responsibility and the creation of new opportunities. It's really encouraging to see more and more entities and international agencies advancing this idea. So Global Peace Foundation is a contributor to the Organization of Economic and Cooperation Education 2030, the Learning Compass. And this project, which has been underway since 2015, is trying to answer two questions. What knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values will today's students need to thrive and shape their world? And then secondly, how can instructional systems develop these knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values effectively? So this is very important to prepare students as change agents and positive contributors in our world. So the Learning Compass here, there's a website here that you can go to, oecd.org, Education 2030 Project. There's a lot of valuable resources here. There's like over 30 countries, contributors from all over the world contributing to this. And it's not just OECD, but many other agencies and organizations are thinking about how can we transform education and prepare our students effectively. I want to touch here on the relationship between shared values, skills, and new knowledge, because there is a relationship here. So shared values, principles and values, that's really a core competency. And it is these values that actually guide skills like creativity, problem solving in themselves are value neutral. They need to be guided by values that take into consideration the benefit of all mankind. And then utilizing these skills guided by the values, then students have to apply the new types of knowledge, such as digital skills, data skills, um, and all of the traditional knowledge as well, in order to come up with the good solutions for the many issues that we have around us. Also, we need to look at the emerging education systems for the 21st century. So I think we are seeing a shift from a whole of government approach towards education, which has been the way for centuries, to a bigger ecosystem, a whole of society approach, and more shared responsibility, more partners, more inputs from different people, and a more emphasis on process and so on. Um, you can see here a little bit more detail. I'll just uh, leave it at that at this point. In terms of the theory of change, right? So in order to prepare our students and make them future ready, educators themselves have to be transformed and be equipped and ready for this new situation that we're in. Transform teachers, school principals, they transform school culture, and students are always watching the teachers, the adults. And if they can see teachers modeling, right, good values and these skills we're talking about, then they themselves will go through a process of transformation. And this is what will impact performance and skills. Um, Moral and innovative leadership is very, very important at this time. Moral leadership is guided by universal principles and shared values. And in the education context, it is focused on the greater good. So, for example, a teacher who's a moral educator has the entire life arc of his or her student in mind, not just how he or she will perform in a final exam. And he or she will act and will engage with that student with that kind of perspective in mind. And also, this has to be balanced with innovative leadership. We do need new solutions, even in how we teach students these days, and how teachers and students, parents, the community can all work together. And even now, in this time, we may be looking at hybrid approaches to education. The online platforms can be tremendously helpful. And in that regard, I think everyone has to be a learner, including those in the Ministry of Education, school heads, leadership teams, teachers have to be continuously learning. And the students, we need them to be continuously learning. They can focus in on a project that they're passionate about, come up with a new entrepreneurial idea. We need bottom-up innovation happening in schools. And of course, new innovative approaches too. Teachers will need to be transformative leaders. Gone are the days when the teacher stands in front of the classroom and downloads lots of content. Now the teacher is
One
going to
minute
need to be
remaining.
a master facilitator. They have to instill values, inspire, be a role model, motivate learning, and so on. Entrepreneurship is also going to be important here. We need to unlock entrepreneurship. In Global Peace Foundation, we're doing this through our Leap Hub project in high schools, which are incubators where students are coming up with amazing solutions to everyday problems. And then just coming to the end here, we talked about this whole of society approach, bridging systems, schools, communities, and employers together. We need a variety of inputs in order to innovate in the education sector at this point. And that means public-private social partnerships, just like the partners, the wonderful partners that we have on this call here today. there are some really great resources out there right now for educators. I just want to point out two of them. This is Quality Education for All During This Crisis, put together by 100 Ed. The link is here. I will share this presentation with all of you. And also the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative has put together a collection of free online resources for teachers and school leaders, and also for families and students. So tons of really good stuff that can be looked at and can be educators in Kenya and Africa can look at these and see how these can be adapted to their situation. And this Zoom meeting we have today is part of a series on transforming education leading up to the Global Peace Leadership Conference, which will be an all online Zoom meeting / webinar on July 30th and 31st, 2020. This will be regional. It will involve many, many different countries, you know, in East Africa and in Africa itself. And finally, a transformed education system is one that is relevant in today's world, that's preparing students to be contributors to employment and economic development, to social and political stability, and very importantly, to creating ethical societies free of corruption. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share a few words with you here today.
The next speaker, that is Mr. Oscar Limoke from the cloud lead for Power IT Solution. Oscar, if you're ready, let's proceed.
My name is Oscar. I work for a company called Power IT Solutions. I am the cloud lead for the organization. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been actively supporting very many education institutions with the deployment of what we call Google Classroom and Google Education tools. When I was given this topic to talk about digital platforms and online safety for learners, I was quite thrown back. But the first thing that came to my mind was just an idea of running through some of the different education tools and platforms that we are seeing a lot of education institutions adopt around. So as I was saying, the first thing that came is just to try put together a collection of different educational tools and platforms we are seeing a lot of education institutions adopt. There are quite a lot. The list is really exhaustive. We can't get all, we can't complete it. But the security bit got me thinking, which is quite very important, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. How prepared and how are our learners and both teachers quite adapt to managing the murky worlds of security on the internet. A lot of these tools demand learning over the internet. Even as adults, we still struggle with keeping ourselves safe and secure on the internet world. Now, the first thing that came to me was to play a very short TED talk. If you've never watched this talk, I'm just going to play it for 1 minute. It's very insightful if you can listen to it and just follow it. It talks about the realities of the internet age. And I just want you to listen to it for about 1 minute before I proceed. So just indulge me for 1 minute.
Every one of us has a porn star name. If you don't know what yours is, you need to take the name of your first pet and the name of the road that you lived in when you were a child. Just take a moment, turn to the person next to you and introduce your porn star self.
Just 30 more seconds. Don't worry, we're not going to play the entire clip.
It's amusing, isn't it? Can I have you back? Can I have your attention back, please? So I'm Smoky Pound. And as you can see, it's amusing. And this is why, when you see this on Facebook or whatever, so many people engage with it. There's lots of different variants. There was one during the elections, it was find out what your Tory MP name is. And they use variants like, what's your mother's maiden name? What school did you go to? And the thing is, what I've just asked you to do is turn to a stranger and share with them information that you will use for your password retrieval for things like your online banking.
Very, very scary. And I see a lot of players, a lot of students, a lot of teachers and everybody around us playing very interesting games like that, quote to quote, everywhere. Do these, let me know the dates you were born. The internet has turned our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day usage of the internet. We use the internet to chat. Everything we do on the internet every day is almost like a trap. We use the internet to share photos. Now there's a new entrance of learning, with Zoom, email, and all that, and doing homework. That's the same exact medium that is presenting a lot of safety pains for the children and for the learners. And I'm just going to show you why. So my talk will be centered around a bit of internet safety for learners and how we can help support learners understand the ramifications of the internet world. I came across this report that also just looked at the common phishing heaven, the different things where the largest amount of internet cyber fraud or phishing originates. And surprisingly, email is the biggest at more than 25%. I was reading a different report also from AIG, and they also attributed 25% of cyber fraud currently are as a result of one way or the other email. And why am I linking this to email? As we go every day in our learning engagements, learners one way or the other, teachers one way or the other, are having to actually access an email. You will get your Zoom meeting ID sent over your email. You will get your assignments sent over your email. You'll get engagement activities. A lot of things are now being pushed over email, which becomes the biggest medium where the learners are, finding the security challenges happening. Now, I've only shared this very, very old slide that I've had to just present also, even now Zoom has become quite the biggest learning support platform. And previously, obviously before this update and before a lot of noise, there was a lot of shifting of the security component to the end users, to the learners, to the teachers. A lot of our schools are already strapped. They're thin. They have no technical resource. They have no infrastructure to support barely their own technical learning in schools. How are they going to put basic things like making sure, hey, we have the latest configurations of software. We have the latest security secure platform that we are running. So I had a bit of a problem previously because the previous configuration where Zoom was shifting the security to the end users. And you can see from this simple Google search, lots of schools that have budget. I almost used to tell the teachers, schools in New Zealand, schools in Australia, schools in the US are being hit hard. And these are schools you would ordinarily think they have a bit of budget, they have a bit of resources, but they're still being hit hard, right? So what happens here? We know of schools here already in Kenya that got hit and all that with the various Zoom security vulnerabilities that were there before. So how could we prepare the learners? There is a very interesting program that we were running earlier on in the year in collaboration with Google. It's called Be Internet Awesome. It's a program that is run by a foundation called I Keep Safe, that partnered with Google, family owned, and a number of other institutions to launch a multifaceted program that's designed to teach kids how to be safe online. I'm just going to be running a very few excerpts from the same. And I'll share with you, everybody, these slides and the resources around that. And that program was really, really basic at the core of what the TED Talk was talking about. Teach your learners, teach your users to understand the dangers and the dangerous layers on the internet. We are learning through the internet is a place of beautiful and interesting resources, beautiful and interesting information, but at the same time, it's always lacking with very, very, very other people who have other ideas. I'm just going to quickly, that's how I centered my conversation. And the whole idea of the Be Internet Awesome is to teach kids how to be smart, whatever they're sharing on the internet, how can they share responsibly? I forgot there's this website, I'll share these resources that has the program in detail together with things like games and interactive engagements that teach kids how to be safe and all that. So it has got five core components. It teaches kids how can they be on the internet but sharing with care. You know, what is good to share? How can they be alert? There's a lot of fake news everywhere. Everything you Google, everybody almost thinks whatever, as long as you got it on the internet, it's the gospel truth. But how can you keep the teachers and the students to understand what is a good source, what is a good academic source to cite or to use? How can people access their internet resources using strong security measures, strong passwords and all that? There's lots of information about cyberbullying, and kids below who are in class, you know, are always prone to trying to play pranks and other interesting things with each other. How can they be kind to each other? And most importantly, if they are unable to make sense of what is happening, they can always share. And this is what we were introducing to the kids, all the way below, from high school to primary kids. The 4 bad guys that we know on the internet. And the 4 bad guys, many of us didn't know. The first one is overshare. And it's you. You are the person who shares a lot of information. A lot of everyday information we share on our social networks, on our WhatsApp, on our different places, is actually the information that the fraudsters would use to use against. For instance, you saw in the TED Talk, if you simply tell me where you were born, what's the name of your school, the first school you went to, what's the name of your past teacher, I will attempt to use that information to gain access into your banking information and all that. The hacker. And I will show you a bit of details about the hacker, the phisher. All of us fall a victim of the person who is phishing our emails. Remember, I said a lot of cyber frauds is now currently being done through email. And of course, the troublemaker who is simply just somebody who bullies around. Now, sharing too much information, we saw what it could potentially. If you continue watching that TED Talk I was showing you about, towards the end, you will find out where there's a coffee shop that is able to guess what the date somebody was born by simply somebody telling them who their name was in under 30 seconds. Somebody knowing your social media handle is able to actually know where you were born, what date you were born, who are your friends, and all that information. So it's really, really scary, even as we do all these things on the internet. As teachers, as responsible technical supporters, we need to help the teachers and students understand that these are the everyday realities of the internet. And then, of course, the basic things, you know, kids just being naughty, sharing things without understanding who sees what, who's responsible for what. You end up sharing teachers in a social network, and your teacher is your teacher. You know, I had my teacher, I had the assignment, I had that homework, it's boring, it's, you know, all those manner of things. How can we equip the learners to make sure they understand how to tweak and configure their sharing options is very tailored to the audience they intend themselves to do. WhatsApp stories and Instagram stories have become quite a hit. All I need is to get your number and I have access to your WhatsApp stories. I know what birthdays you run. I know what happens in your daily life every day. Simply by getting your number, you've invited a whole manner of me into your entire private life. But how many actually go just to check on WhatsApp settings and decide, you know what? This is the kind of audience I want only to see my stories. Even as adults, we don't do it. As soon as I get your number, you've invited me to your all house parties, invited me to your kids' birthdays and all that. I would keep seeing them, right? So just helping kids also understand they could do that. Then, of course, the hacker. How many recognize this? I can bet a big amount of us have somewhere where the other they've used any of these combinations as their password. And how long are you going to take to guess this? And we all use all manner of excuses. You know, I want to remember it easily. How long did it take me to guess that? I don't even need to think. How people use that, you know, and all those are the kind of the default kind of access controls we put on our everyday access to internet resources, whether it's our Zoom meeting, it's our email, and all that. And when I'm looking for something, that's what I start. Those are the combinations everybody's trying to get into, right? And even as others, we're responsible for that. The phisher. We were taught as kids never to accept candy from strangers. But strangely, as adults, we keep every day accepting candy. And let me just show you. Congratulations. How often do you see that and you are happy you've won an iPhone? And an adult, not to blame them, they'll actually go ahead and click and believe they've won an iPhone. I went ahead and just did a quick Google search in Kenya and did that. You can see how to get free bundles from a mobile operator. And there are tons of resources. People still believe you can actually get free bandwidth. You know, if you're in a number of internet WhatsApp groups or different kind of environments, I'm sure you've seen a random person share with you some text telling you, click here to get free 22 GB, click here to get all that. I get pissed off because I'm like, can't you just understand? There's no free candy from anywhere. And you're actually endangering everybody in the group by sharing such information, because what it ends up doing, it just takes one person in our group, in our class, to actually click that. They get compromised in the school, in a school network, somebody doing that, and the entire network gets compromised. So we are exposing everybody if we are not exposing and sharing these kind of safety nets to our teachers and learners, right? There, you've won 1 million. Good luck for you. Why are you hiding the link if I've won 1 million? Why are you telling me every day? You know, we need to keep on telling our teachers and pupils that there is no free candy or manna on the internet. You didn't work for it, it's not gonna come for you. So avoid clicking such things, right? And then of course the troublemaker is the usual person who just posts things that are mean, to hurt other people's feelings. I told students in a story where there was a student who was admitted into Harvard, and based on whatever they had posted many, many years ago, Harvard had to rescind their decision. Because the internet never forgets. Whatever you post on the internet remains there permanently. How can we make students understand whatever they are working, whatever they are doing on the internet remains a permanent scar that will actually impact their very, very many decisions, very many progress in life. You know, it would be very shameful for somebody to go refer to whatever you posted 12 years ago and tell you, hey, you are a bad person because you posted this. It's there, it's on the internet. So those are some of the realities and the very interesting points I found from that Be Internet Awesome. It's a really, really, really fantastic way to introduce and make students understand, yes, the internet is an amazing place, but we also have to take responsibility for what is there. There are also some more interesting, more resources I posted there, including phishing quizzes by Google, by SonicWall, and the FTC from the US that helps you test yourself. How can you spot an email that is a phishing? You know, earlier on in the year, I was reading a very interesting email where this CEO of a big UK company was the CFO, was able to get phished, and they lost more than $25 million in just less than 10 days. 10 days. And this is the chief financial officer, no less, right? And we're expecting our kids, as we bombard them with all these exciting internet resources, create an account, you know, let's do these. They have no idea. They will keep clicking everything. So I think the onus is up to us. As we introduce technology into classes, we also have to introduce safety nets, safety measures. We have to teach kids, and especially teachers, how to navigate the internet responsibly, how to navigate the internet safely for the kids. Because at the end of the day, if your kid, the kid uses actually your phone or your computer, you will end up finding your bank wiped out. They will simply click a link, they will simply do something, and you will keep wondering, I didn't pay for $10,000 on Candy Crush credits. But your kid clicked something, and your phone has your passwords, it has access to your banking information, and that's what happens. So for me, that is what I thought I should share today about the importance of understanding the challenges of the internet. And there's very interesting resources on that Internet Awesome website. You can play games, very, very engageful games for kids, but at the end of the day, teaching them, they can get a certificate that looks like that, quite exciting. Educators who are here, I will challenge you, please go to that website. It will give you a very exciting and very quick understanding of just the basics of the internet. So as you do things in your class every day using these technology tools, you actually would have a good grip of how to secure both your learners and your class. All right, and of course, there's that safety for childline from the Kenyan 116 and also from the Communication Authority. That is important. We can always share these with kids and everybody who can report anything that is happening inappropriately to children. That was my share for today, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Oscar. I think this is very, very critical. I remember we have Global Peace Foundation had a campaign, Child Online Safety campaign with Google, and it was very, very interesting. The internet is an interesting place. You can get a lot of resources, a lot of good resources, but the internet is also very dangerous. So many things are happening. The other day there was, this case in Kenya where we had a lawyer, famous lawyer who thought he had a girlfriend online. The girlfriend was called Sarkozy, but somehow,
yes.
he ended up being conned. So this is the importance of continuous learning. So even as parents, we must keep on learning. Right now, our kids, like you rightfully said, are accessing so much information. My kids are now on Roblox every day. So I really need also to learn, some of these things that they're accessing, are they important? So are they risky, or are they, are they educational? And so it's important for us to be able to learn as parents. There are parents who do not know the dangers that their kids are exposing themselves to. So it's not just for teachers, but for parents, for everybody. You spoke about your credit card, your kids accessing your credit card and buying those games online. This is happening. My daughter was asking for my credit card details the other day. I didn't give it to her. So thank you. I think this is very, very important. Thank you so much for giving us this information. I think we have the chat boxes there. Everyone who is here, you can share your email address so that we can be able to. I think Oscar would be kind enough to share some of this important information with us. We can share with you if you want them. So let me also let you know, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Facebook Live. So if you're on Facebook, just go to Global Peace Foundation Kenya, like our Facebook page, and you can be able to access this this conversation online. We'll also be joined later on by the CAS in the Ministry of Education, Honorable Zach Kinuthia. He'll be joining us. He'll give us closing remarks at the end of this presentation. So please stay tuned. Do not leave. Do not click the exit button yet. So next, I want to invite now Annie Gitau. I think if you're ready, I think I'll give you this opportunity.
I'm ready.
Yeah, to give us the insights, and let us know basically the role of the media in e-learning and existing media resources. I know the other day, the Standard Group had this, this event which we saw on TV. And I know there's so many things that you're doing in terms of education. So please, welcome. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Daniel. It's good to be here again. I'll share my screen. I hope everyone can hear me. So today we're talking about continuous learning for students and teachers in Kenya amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, but also going into the future. So I'd like to just start with, and my screen has refused to share. Oh, there we go. So the role of media in continuous learning is that first we need to check a fact, and this fact is very critical, that until there's a uniform delivery of information online to all learners in Kenya, then we cannot claim to have a blanket solution for the situation that has been created by this pandemic. We must first impart the necessary skills to our teachers so that then they can be able to share them with our children. If you put our children in front of the screen, there are so many things, like Oscar has said, that are going to have an impact on the way that they're learning. So going forward, what we as Standard Group are doing is we want to train, tutor, and test. Train, tutor, and test is the simplest way to do this. First, you train the teachers by reproducing the lessons that they usually do in class so that they can then meet the online criteria, because the way an exam is or our class is conducted in class is not the same way. When you put the children in front of screens and you're trying to tell them to answer questions, some of them can't hear you, some of them have zoned out, others are tired, others the internet connectivity is really bad. So first train the teachers, break the information that they need, the lessons that they need to do into bite-sized content. Then the second thing you need to do is tutoring. Then when the teachers have been trained, then you can put them in the front line so that they can tutor our students and our learners. And I'm talking about children in primary school, and I'm talking about students in secondary schools, and also university students. Because the other day we saw University of Nairobi having a challenge just conducting an exam online. And the individuation was just on another level, because teachers have to be on lookout, you have to watch them on the screen so that you are sure that it's being conducted in such a way that there's no cheating or anything like that. Then after you have tutored this, you test them, because once these children have learned, you need to know whether they have retained the information. There is no point of every day having a child in front of a screen saying you're doing online learning when there is nothing that is getting through to them. You need to be able to evaluate their progress. So going forward, standard media then is using the media richness theory. Basically, that you need to use all forms of media that you have, because different children are in different setups. There are those who can't access anything online, but they have access to the newspaper. There are those who cannot access e-learning, but they can download something like the copy of the newspaper from the platform. Then there are the ones who are now online learning as we know it, and what Oscar was talking about. So the Preach newspaper then has exam questions. We have a program called Tutasoma. Tutasoma puts the exams for class 8 and for Form 4s in the newspaper every Tuesday and every Saturday. So the children who have no access to anything online, their parents cannot afford this, they can get access to the newspaper on Tuesdays and on Saturdays, so that then they're able to do these exams, and then the questions, the answers are provided in the following edition. So that is what happens with those who cannot access online at all. Then there's a digital where you get the e-paper, because sometimes parents will you have a smartphone, so you can actually get the newspaper online, be able to get the e-paper, download it, get the exams given to your child, so that then there's continuous learning even where they are concerned. And you don't have to be online full time. You can actually download it and then go ahead and do your lesson. Then the third one, which is our most important one right now, is a Tutasoma 2 platform. This is dedicated entirely for students and for their teachers. So this is for people who have good access to the internet. So the Tutasoma 2 contains the same information, but reaches diverse students in Kenya. The ones who can only get access to the newspaper, the ones who can get access to something can be downloaded but cannot be online for a long time, and the ones now that can be online for a long time. So last week, the Standard Group came together and launched a platform, this online platform, that is actually looking at the education sector. One of the pillars at Standard Group is that we have an education sector that we're very passionate about. So the unique feature about the Tutasoma 2, it's not like all other platforms that just gives you a lot of information. No, it allows institutions and teachers to set their exams and to mark them. So the platform saves that information, keeps track of learners' performance, and it enables the teachers to measure whether they can achieve the targets that they have set. Another good thing about it is that there is a performance report section where institutions can get a summary of a class performance and be able to share details about that student. These are the exams they have done. This is what they have been able to achieve, and compile that and present it. The platform allows not only for the students to get an education, but for the teachers to have an easier time. They don't have to go to other sites, look for exams, download them, then share them in their Zoom classes or their webinars, but they can actually go to our platform, Tutasoma 2, and be able to do all these things, and it will take very little time. So this is our Tutasoma 2 platform. We have partnered with Oxford University Press. So all you have to do is go log in, sign up, and you have your revision materials. You have quick tests that you can have just to gauge where your students are. You have prediction questions based on what you're going to teach. And they're really short questions that are easy to understand and you don't have to struggle with. We also have past papers. Some of them date as far back as 10 years, so that you can see the progress of how the exams have been progressing through the years, what you need to do, how they've changed the form of questioning in exams. The other platform I talked about where you just download is the e-paper. The e-paper, for most of us, if you don't get the hard copy paper, you just go and register for this. And all you need to do is 10 shillings every single day. So you go every day at midnight, you get your newspaper, and you're ready to go the following day. And your children can have access to the Tutasoma 2 exams, and they can be able to then progress with their education. So what does this mean? You always need to do a smart analysis for everything that you put out there. So for us, it's that there is continuous learning for all children across Kenya, whether you're on the internet or you are not. And that The weakness, we know that the platforms can never be on the same level. So 73% of students right now are not learning comprehensively. They have remedial classes, they have follow-ups with the teachers. Some of them don't have anything at all. The opportunity is that we have designed a program for learning for all our platforms. Tutor Soma 2 is available on the newspaper. Tutor Soma 2 is available online, and it's available, it can be downloaded. The threat is a prolonged time outside the class and campus setting that will have repercussions, because we are all trying to learn this. Teachers, that's why when I said we teach, then we tutor, and then we test. Even teachers need to learn something new. You just can't expect them to just transfer their skills from what they used to do in class. So going forward, we have the newspapers in education, we have the standard e-paper, and we have the Tutor Soma 2 platform. All of them can reach all the people, all the students in our country if they're used comprehensively. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Annie. Thank you. I think it is very, 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 very important, and it's a good chance for the people here to learn about the Tutor Soma 2. I think this evening I'll get my kids to log in and see what they can get from that. I think moving forward, I want to go all the way to Nigeria. So Mrs. Funmi Durojai, if you're ready, please welcome and tell us more about Oracle Academy this time.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Karibu. Karibu
Yes,
means welcome.
Yeah, thanks. So sorry for the delay. I had a lot of technical issues. Thank you for holding on for me. This is Shefumi, and okay, all right. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, all right. So my topic today is about insights on, sorry, I just need to, okay. Just give me a minute so I can minimize all of this. Okay, so insights and resources for teachers to leverage for their skills on digital education. My name is Shefumi Durejai, and I work for Oracle Academy, where I manage our programs in Sub-Saharan Africa. And one of our works is with Kenya, Global Peace Foundation, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you all for joining. Also, regards to every other speaker and panelists, Tony Divine, Daniel, and the team, thank you for having me. So just to give a brief introduction about what I want to talk about. When we talk about digital education, sometimes we are all talking about it now because of the current pandemic. But the question is, after the pandemic is over, is there really a future where there will no longer be in-class training? Do we think there is a future where all students and teachers will only engage online? Or when this whole pandemic is over, what exactly happens when we transition back to school, back to classes, back to the classroom setting? And that's why I want to, first of all, talk about a few things. So when we talk about the skills for teachers to adopt on digital education, I believe that we should start thinking about how we can have e-curriculum, which permits flexibility. A lot of the things that are still being done right now are done on hardware, papers, and the likes, and the curriculum changing is usually longer because there are not a lot of content that we use. So oftentimes, when new teachers or schools want to adopt a new curriculum or a new theme, the first concern is, where do we get the lesson content from? And when there is no lesson content, then we start having people who have challenges about what to do or what not to do. So with that in mind, I think that one of the things that we should be thinking about when we talk about digital education is how we can adopt digitalization for education. The second thing is introducing technology into all courses and not computer science. This is an ongoing discussion when it comes to tertiary education, but I think we also should embrace it for secondary and high school level, because now every teacher, English, social studies, every course, biology, has to be taught online at the moment. Everybody's leveraging on media, technology to pass information to teachers and students on all subjects, not just computer science. So this speaks to me that going forward, we need to start looking for how to introduce technology into all the courses. Technology into all the courses will mean different things. It will mean maybe introducing animations when teaching some courses. When you want to talk about society, you can tell them to do animation to teach for those related courses. And also digital infrastructure, which is usually the bedrock. When we say we want to go digital education, and we say 5,000 or 50% of the population are only the ones that have access to internet power or mobile gadgets, then we are not really leveraging it for everybody. And then digital equation will not be equal, because we would have some population who are not able to reach these resources because of these inadequacies. However, they would all be measured by the same examination model, which will really be unfair. So those are the things that I think under the topic of the future of in-class training. I believe that we'll still return to in-class. I believe that classroom teaching is still going to be very vital. I believe that the place of teachers are not displaced despite the pandemic. But I also want us to think about this as maybe this is also a time for us to really think about how well we can adopt technology. When we say digital education, are we saying just having digitalized boards in classrooms, a computer for every student, or having a computer lab? What are we really saying when we talk about digital education? I think that we should include facilitation as a mode of training. With facilitation, we are able to share resources with students. We're able to let them learn at a pace, and then the teacher facilitates, coordinates. The teacher is able to say, okay, I'm introducing you to the basics of this topic. I want you to take these few resources, learn on your own, research, which most likely will be done online. And then when we come back to class, we'll all share the lessons learned, and I can say, okay, fine, this is what we need to focus on. We need to adopt that. That's one of the things that we have to adopt in future of in-class training. Next thing is project-based learning. Project-based learning also is able to, not saying I want you to learn a particular thing, but if you are able to carve out projects or rely on existing projects from education portals, which Oracle also has something in that, which I will show you later on. This will be able to guide the students to targeted results. It's not just broad learning. And with project-based learning, if you give me a project, you're not expected to be with me throughout the tenure of the project. I'm allowed to go and work on my project, and we just have agreed milestones. Okay, when you reach this milestone, bring it to me to review. After this milestone, let me review. I may teach you, I may add some knowledge, or I may not. I just want to see, or just to supervise. So this actually helps students learn faster. And it is one of the models where you are not always interfacing with the students face to face. We are all not praying for another pandemic, but we should also think about the possibility where we may have to leverage on that. Also, sometimes you have some students who have some form of disability or some form of family issues, and they have to be out of classrooms for about a month. But with this kind of resources, those students can still partake in the ongoing classes without being left out. Also, the last thing is e-learning inclusion, curriculum online, assessments online, managing students' reports online. These are my points that I see towards the insights that I think teachers should start looking towards to be able to enhance their skills on digital education. These are the results in mind. With these results, we can now talk about the kind of resources that may help you there. And here I'll talk about one of the things that when we are talking about computer science education, Oracle Academy's focus is to advance computer science education globally. We do that through so many programs supporting teachers, schools, and students. But we also like to be able to tell people that computer science degree is not the only thing that we preach. Computer science skills is required for almost every job going forward. It's not only for software engineers, really. There's barely any job right now that you do not need computer skill to actually be able to excel at. And these are the reasons why computing as a knowledge area should be transferred towards almost all the classes. As I said before, Oracle Academy is a free program. We are Oracle's philanthropy program. And based on that, we've been able to reach across 120 countries going forward. Millions of students are benefiting from this. We have quite a number of schools, both tertiary and university, on the program across Africa. And our programs are for educators and for the students. And what are the things that you benefit from it? I'm just going to talk about one thing from this list that you see on my screen. Is about the fact that it is vendor neutral. Vendor neutral basically means that Oracle's technologies are what we sell to our clients to be able to build their enterprise solutions. Now, we've been able to take those same technologies and create a pedagogical form, a pedagogical form that can be used in schools and for teachers to learn and then transfer the knowledge to students. Basically, what I'm saying is, when you want to teach your student programming, our resources and our courses are also relevant to teach programming. However, we are going to support you with the Oracle technologies that we are, which is Java. Same thing for database, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the likes. Now, because these courses ride on Oracle software, doesn't mean that another student cannot pick it and learn it, and they will still understand the basis of that particular technology. That's what I'm going to say. Now, here are some of the resources that we believe that teachers can start engaging themselves with to be able to build these skills. Last year, we worked with a particular secondary school that was beginning to transcend the use of animation beyond computer classes. They picked a few courses where they actually had the teachers learn the use of animations, which for us, programming through Alice, and then they were able to teach some concepts of those courses using animation, and students were able to pick faster and understand better. These are some of the resources that we say teachers can pick. Now, all of these ones on my screen, with little or no knowledge or prior knowledge of programming or database, you can pick and start learning. The truth of the matter is, when you learn any technology skill, I can tell you that even if you are not a programmer, you learn computational skills, you learn problem-solving skills, analytical skills. It also helps you understand the basic and the thinking design for programmers. That way, when you are applying solutions to problem, you are able to think about the problem first before you think about how you want to apply technology. For example, getting started with Java using Alice is actually animation-based, learning and coding, simple drag and drop. However, to create an animation, even a student has to create a storyboard first. A storyboard says, this is the story I want to create. These are the things I want to work on. And then based on that, you are able to start building the animation that you want. Now, these are the things that you can learn. Now, this goes further to tell you a few more information around the Java courses and the database courses, the Oracle Academy. And these are all the skills that you can start learning to familiarize yourself with what you need for the future. Even non-computer science teachers can do that. It is not necessarily because you want to do computing or software engineering that you believe you should take these courses. And some of these resources are available. Now, these are some of the software tools that are available to our members. A member, you can be a member as far as you are recognized by your country's Ministry of Education, and you are not running a commercial business. Once those two things are approved, you can register to be a member on Oracle Academy. And once you are a member, you have access to all of these resources. You have access to a lot of supporting resources that teach you on how to use it. Now, for educators, it's very important that they continue developing themselves. Educators spend so much time transferring knowledge to students, teaching them, but they most times do not have time to actually boost their knowledge because hours of the day, their work, their marking script. But we are encouraging educators to spend some ample time boosting their knowledge. You know, technology especially is always evolving. Some months, years ago, we're never talking about a few things that we are talking about now. So you have to spend time, and we've been able to create resources that can help you to continue learning. Even some of our courses, we have them online, but it's also downloadable. But we advise educators to make sure they don't refer to the downloadable one because we keep updating it. Now, these are the forms where we engage teachers to train them for all of the resources that we have. And we've had a few success stories around it. Now, these are resources also that can help you practice the knowledge that you have from time to time, because it is very important that when you gain knowledge as a teacher, you also practice. And with all of our resources, you can be sure to stay up to date with what the world requires of you. And these are the resources that Oracle does to support teachers. Digital education is not just about using computers to train. We have to be able to make sure that the whole education content can be taught digitally, you can deliver digitally, and you understand the knowledge of all of this. And there are so many ways you can keep in touch with us where we share information, and that is it. But I just want to reemphasize again that the reason why we believe digital education is key now, it's not just because of the pandemic, but now the pandemic is letting us see more reasons why we should focus on that. And I would encourage every education stakeholder here to start encouraging the use of digitalized content for all courses, not just computer science education. But where computer science education is concerned, we have resources to support you with Oracle Academy, and we are able to support you. The website is on the screen, academy.oracle.com. And once you go on there, you have a lot of resources. You can send a mail, I will receive it. Any mail from Kenya comes to our desk. I'll be able to attend to your support. Also, Global Peace Foundation is our legal partner in Kenya, and they will also be a good resource to contact, and we can be reached directly. So thank you. I'll be able to take questions. I hope I've been able to do justice to the presentation and to the topic that was given to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Durojai. This is very, 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 very interesting. And I mean, everyone, keep the questions coming. There's a chat box down there. If you have any questions, you can keep them coming there. You can also share your email if you would like to have any resources, which we are able to share with you. So what we are talking about is very, very important, continuous learning. Mrs. Durojai told me something the other week, which I really came to think about, that right now we need to be thinking about, we need to be giving hope. We don't want, to give people worries, every day you've been talking about COVID-19, Corona, but right now I think just like Oracle, I think we at the Global Peace Foundation and the partners, we want to start giving Kenyans hope, not just Kenyans, but humanity hope. This disease may be with us for a long time. Some people are saying it's going to be endemic. So how do we live? We have to, this is why we are saying we must continue learning. Continuous learning is very, very critical. And these resources that they're talking about, the Oracle resources, and there's several other resources. Even Harvard has now, they've come up with, they're giving free online learning resources, which you as a teacher, you as a parent, you as a worker, you can go there and get your Harvard certificate and brag about it. So that's why this topic is very, very critical, online learning. If you read today's newspaper, they're talking about teachers want exams postponed. So this is going to be, the exams may, be postponed, and we will have, maybe schools could be closed for a longer time, and that's why I think we need to be thinking ahead. And I want the next speaker, if she's there, that is Mrs. Wanjala Mshila Sio, the author of the book, The Law of Success. Please, ma'am, if you can come in and let us know, how can we be able to, how can we have continuous learning, whether you're parents, whether you're teachers, educators, and your book here also is available for those who want to learn more, about how to be successful. So welcome, Mrs. Wanjala Mshila Sio.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. Juma. My name is Wanjala Sio. I have been working with the Global Peace Foundation for quite a while. And I just want to add that in this continuous learning, our agenda is mostly on character development. And I want to add to Dr. Davin's presentation. I don't know if I can put mine up, but maybe let me just say something a little bit before I find a way if I can put it up or not. Anyway, what Dr. Davin has talked about is so fundamental, but a lot of children and teachers don't even know that this thing is fundamental. So we put it in a book form, and we are always hoping if it can go to schools, then the students can carry it home And the good thing about it is that it has exercises on what the Global Peace Foundation on Character and Creativity is about. And you know, in 2010 and 2013 there, the KIPRA, the Kenya Institute of Research, did a study with Global Peace Foundation and some other partners, where they found that the induction of character and creativity was so pertinent in the development of a student, a teacher, the development of a person. And in that, they also found the academics improved, the school culture improved, the overall human being improved, in the sense that in this program, they introduced the importance of self-confidence, self-worth. If you have self-confidence and you have self-worth, then of course you self-apply yourself. And especially in this COVID-19 age, if children are at home and they have no sense of direction, they start to get depressed. But if from the foundation of the schools, they had this thing as part and parcel or a fundamental ingredient in their teaching, they would know that hardships come, and hardships are supposed to strengthen your character. So you don't sit there and think, oh, now what am I going to do? Sometimes hard things come to give you an opportunity. And again, if I can add a little bit about the book, it teaches definiteness of purpose for all people, teachers, non-teaching staff, and it's a very easy thing to follow. It teaches about leadership, integrity, and initiative. As you can see, we have a lot of the time concentrated on academics. And you know, academics, a lot of the time, after we are done with the schooling, then we can't find a job. We are trying to blame our members of parliament. We're trying to blame everybody else except us. Whereas if we follow what Dr. Davin had put and what is in my book, you find the things that you should, if you had developed them from within, they would help you to sail through life. And just to add on to what our program is talking about, it also teaches on solution seeking. It teaches entrepreneurship skills. And every lesson there has exercises at the end of it to make students go out of the classroom. We are too classroom oriented. And if we engage on efforts of doing more outside the classroom, whether it is online or offline, you find that you learn more from outside the classroom, and you learn more in reference to how you're going to live after school. The life after school is, after all, is supposed to be the foundation. So if our foundation has no character, has no initiative, has no creativity, we find we may get A or B plus, but then what do we do with that A? What do we do with that B? Because we are not able to survive outside the classroom. We are not able to survive without the academic paper, as we put it. So let me see if I can put this on screen. If I can't, it's okay. I have, in any case, I think I have done a summary of what the program is about. And our prayer is, if the program can go to schools, it will help in the development of whatever it is we are doing, whether it is online or offline, whatever it is we are doing, we shall be creating a foundation that is so strong, that is so powerful, that is so encompassing. Because part and parcel of that program also includes issues on climate change and what we need to do. In fact, we have associated our character building with even growing of trees, so that a child can grow a tree, a teacher can grow a tree, and nurture whatever virtue they think they need to nurture, or they are lacking. If they think they need to nurture ambition, they give that tree a name, ambition. And as they nurture that tree, whether it is in their compound or at home or in a different place. As they nurture that tree, they are nurturing their own inner and developing their own inner virtues. So our prayer, our agenda, our feeling is that if we can get this to schools, it will really help in anything else that we want to do.
Thank you so much. I think the book, everything that Madam Wanjala Mshila-Sio is in the book, The Law of Success. So I think the book is available. Some of your speakers here, I think she has sent you a copy of this book. And I think if anyone wants the book, I think you can be able to get in touch with us. So thank you so much. I know we got you last minute to be able to address us today, but you have done a good job.
Thank you.
You've spoken about character, which is very, very important. Without character, you cannot do much. And continuous learning, we're talking about continuous learning. Even right now, your kids are at home. Are you teaching them how to wash dishes? Are you teaching them how to bake? You know, my wife is always teaching my kids how to bake cake, and they're learning new skills. So, you know, don't just sit at home because there's Corona, there's COVID. No, there's so much you can do to have
so much
learning. You know, discipline. How do they respect? This is the time, for example, for the whole family to be at home. Are your kids being taught how to respect their father, their aunties, their grandfather, and stuff like that? So, so learning is not just about what you do, you know, with exams and all that. I think there's much more, and it's a good time. And continuous learning. Remember, the topic is continuous learning.
Continuous learning.
Students and teachers. So, what are you learning lately? What are you continuing to learn? What do you need to learn? You know, they always say there's no end to learning. So next, I want to check. I don't know whether Mr. Ndipuli is in, but I know that the CAS for Education, Honorable Zach Kinuthia, already joined us in the meeting, and I want to now give him the opportunity to be able to talk to us. This is the youngest minister of education. He was appointed the other day by His Excellency the President, and I know he's doing a lot of work, especially, you know, in TVET and all the other areas on how to be able to assist our country, not just during this time, but also post-COVID. So it's my opportunity, it's my pleasure to welcome Honorable Zach Kinuthia.
Good afternoon to everyone, and I hope that Africa is afternoon. Those who are in America and other continents, I hope it is a fair enough time for me to say greetings. How are you? All of us, thank you very much. Now, I want to pick from where you have stopped, Juma, and thank you for good accolades and a very, very well introduced person of myself. And thank you very much. This is indeed God's great doing, and I'm happy. The best that I can give the nation and the world out of my youthful service in government can only be delivering services and injecting ideas that can liberate education in Kenya and in Africa, if we cannot do it in the world. And I'm happy that I came in when the lady in Nigeria, Oluwasefumi, I hope I'm right, when she was speaking. And I continue to marvel at the idea of Oracle Academy and the kind of work it has done even before the coronavirus pandemic came to stop what we usually know as a world. You mentioned something very important, Juma, where I want to pick and start my speaking today by saying it is true that virus has stopped the formal learning, but it has not stopped the informal learning, which is the education that we pass to our children, which is what we received from our fathers, and that is what they had received from their fathers. This formal learning, as we know it, had stopped the informal learning because Juma and Kinuthia are too busy for their children. And we are always late at home and very early out of the house. So this kind of informal education had been hijacked because the time you can offer it is now the time for the teacher in classroom, the four-walled and the roof classroom across the world, which is what we have known as learning. So this time also is a silver in a cloud. the silver lining in the crowd, that we are able to speak to our children today. We are able to interact with them. They are able to play with us. By 7 p.m., we are in the house, especially for us now that our curfew begins at 1900 hours. We are able to sit, speak with them, listen to them, even see each other, even engage informally. Sometimes when we are able to do homework, we are able to do that. When we are not able, we are able to pass even stories, even jokes to our children. And if anything has been the benefit of this coronavirus, it is the family. The family and the value system, especially for us as African, we have been able to pass what we received after many years of disruption by the formal learning. So I want to encourage our listeners, and also through it and to ourselves, to take it upon ourselves also to see that it is true formal education has been interrupted, but our children, their parents, the form of learning that cannot be found inside classrooms will be delivered to us by, or rather will be delivered to the children by us, the parents, or by the elder siblings, or the uncles and the aunties, whichever system of living that we know, we can continue passing it. This is not to say that the government is satisfied with the status quo ante. No, the government is completely concerned, and I'm speaking this knowing that His Excellency the President has been asking us to provide him with protocols that can return us to school safely without injecting any of our child into this virus or exposing them to danger. Juma, if you remember, the Federal Republic of France the other day opened schools, and in one day, coronavirus spiked from 0 to 70 amongst children. And this is a great danger because children, many of them are asymptomatic, knowing that their immunity is strong and growing. If they are harboring virus, it is completely dangerous to expose them with those that may have poor immune system. So it is spiked to 70, and then the government came down again to closing the schools. As a government of the Republic of Kenya, cognizant of the fact that we have the mandate and we are holding the lives of our children at hand, we have decided that the first thing, which is the priority of the government of His Excellency the President, is to secure the health and the lives of our children. That is important. We have had a committee that was mandated to come up with the possibilities of return to school for primary school, secondary school, and post-secondary school, tertiary education institutions and universities. And what we agreed as a matter of urgency is that whatever we agree on, lives must be catered for. Because we do not want blame. We say better safe than sorry. Because if you say our children continue to school, I remember in 1918, when World War I forced all institutions to be closed because of bombing and casualties of children. The governments across the world, that was a British government, which was somehow the caretaker of the world, which was, I mean, we know that British Empire was the strongest at that time, started thinking how education system can be removed from classes. And a committee of education in the British government came up with ideas which were never implemented until it was so late, again, when schools were closed during the World War II. And that is when now schools prolonged all the way to 3 years and started thinking, what are we going to do? Because our children are now becoming recessive. The education, the nascent education that is received at formative stages by our children can be eroded by long, or rather prolonged periods of absenteeism in classroom. So how do we bring up this to ensure they do not recede into illiteracy? So Juma, as a government, we have received
Can't hear.
Unfortunately, you went muted again.
Okay, now? Okay, sorry, yeah. My laptop is muting itself. Am I clear now?
Yes.
Yes, you
okay,
are.
Thank you. So this is it. A committee that constituted the interior security, that consisted the Ministry of Health, that consisted all stakeholders in education, including some of us who are here, Idi Muli, and the majority of us who are in this forum that you have ably constituted, Juma, have finished receiving the views. They are now compiling the views, and they will tell us that this is what the Kenyans, the parents, the children, stakeholders have agreed as a safe return to school formula. Now, as a government, we will sit down and consider all the views that parents have brought to us, stakeholders, and we will agree with consultation, in consultation with the entire now government machinery. The president will give a guideline on what is practically safe, what is practically reasonable, and what we think will give us gains against the misses we have had due to coronavirus. And therefore, in due course, we are going to announce to the nation, and the nation is anxious. We are going to announce, and that is what the president will do, announce the return to school formula, if there shall be. These people who are casting aspersion in the newspaper that we cannot have a school return, we will not go to school, we agree with them. But the agreement must as much be as widely consultative as possible against a reasonable government that is keen to preserve the lives of its citizens, which is the first priority that governments are constituted for. So to say there shall be no exam, there shall be no return to school, schools must be postponed for a year, well, those are good things, but we gave you time to come and tell us why you think schools will not be stopped, why you think that we must not open school, why you think exams must be stopped. It is okay, every opinion counts, but we want to come together again through the report and say, if exams are not possible to be undertaken, these are the reasons. If it is not possible to return to school, this is the reason. If it is possible to return, these are the protocols that shall be adhered to return to school. Juma, I know I'm speaking a lot against the little time we have, but those people who are in the universities and colleges asking us also, and the TVETs that you alluded before, they are asking us, what about us? There seem to be aggravated concern for early learning and basic education. What about us? The colleges, TVETs, and whatever. This report will be comprehensive for all of us, but we are saying for universities that can roll out online or e-learning and administer exams without jeopardy to the integrity thereof, we allow you. The government has not stopped you. As a Minister of Education, we do not have a caveat against universities and colleges that can ably and equally, without discrimination whatsoever, offer learning to their students. If you can, go ahead, so that you can manage your calendars within the agreed timelines by government. But for our little children and massive populations that cannot afford that e-learning, which is about 20-30%, who can afford, over 75% of Kenyans and their parents and their children cannot afford online learning. So we are coming up with means to ensure we equalize for all. Juma, the government of Kenya, resting on the conviction, as was said by Nelson Mandela, the first Black president of South Africa, that education is the strongest tool that one can use to change the world, or rather to conquer the world. We want every Kenyan child to be armed equally without discrimination with this weapon that continue to change the world. We also got where we are, courtesy of having gone to school and being given equal opportunity, and then blessings and grace of God that followed everything. So every Kenyan child listening, or every parent who is listening or watching us, and all the resolutions that will come up from this meeting, I want to categorically state that the government of Kenya, cognizant of the burden it carries for every one of the 16, or rather 1.6 million children who are in school, we are very sensitive, and we will offer a solution that will first guarantee your living, secondly, guarantee your health, thirdly, guarantee your satisfaction, and fourthly, guarantee your right, which is embedded in the Constitution, the right to education.
Thank you. I think thank you so much, Honorable Kinuthia, for that very, very insightful statement. We are very, very happy to have you here, represent the government of Kenya. So I think it's question time now. We open this for question time, and there are several questions that came before. You know, people are asking questions like, how does effective remote teaching look like? This was there's another one also. How do you ensure that the mode of delivery is efficient? In that one that the students can be able to learn sustainably. Other people are asking, what are the best approaches for evaluating learners online? Are there tools for assessment like online exams, for example? I think this is something Sefunmin can be able to look at. There's also a question asking what is the role of teachers in preparing learners, for the job market. Another question says, what is the learning and screen time for early years learners? Another question is, what are the different ways we can also engage learners practically on the online platform? We also have someone asking how a teacher can handle a child with social emotional disorders. So common question is about e-learning. E-learning is definitely the way to go, and especially with the rate at which technological innovation is rising. However, in Kenya, it is still a challenge, even with the efforts taken by the media to supplement it. Only 25% can access online studies. My question, therefore, concerns the remaining 75%. How do we help them? So these are the many questions. So I don't know. Maybe we can. Another one says, how do we as parents prepare our kids for the changing future? Another one is asking, what efforts and practices can individual learning, institution, and industry make to enhance practical learning during the current closures of schools? So those are the questions. Maybe I'll give it to you, Mheshimiwa. Maybe you can pick part of those questions and maybe you can give a summarized response. Then I can ask any of the questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for very well fired audience which are following us through questions. I want to start by saying, by answering the question of how to prepare the children into the changing times, a very, very concerned question coming from, or rather, that should be addressed to parents whose children are school going. First of all, I want to start by making it known here that in readiness for a new normal, His Excellency the President of the Republic, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, has put money aside to do the two following things, which will be extremely important. And this was made in an open media address that he had the day before yesterday. One, he said, out of 53.7 billion Kenya shillings that has been set aside for recovery of economy, much of that money will go into two things which are very important for this topic. One, there shall be a purchase of 250,000 fabricated desks, which will go into schools to support this form of a new normal. Now, out of that, 10,000 teachers will be injected deeper into this system so that we can increase the closeness of a teacher versus student or pupil ratio. Another 1,000 will be employed as interns, but with a skill that is peculiar from the rest of the 10,000. And which skill is this? Listen, ICT. This is good because I felt nice when he was speaking. Being at the ministry at such a time, I felt vindicated of the war we are trying to fight to ensure that we eradicate ignorance out of the Republic. 1,000 interns who will be brought to teachers and to students, and if possible, plans to bring them also closer to teachers to enable them use and utilize the communication gadgets. That is very nice. I think most of these good things goes under the water because understanding of rather comprehension by many people sometimes is low. So how to prepare them, the government is going to help you. And this is why I'm here, that we will also bring these interns to teaching our children the usability and utilization of not just this besides way of teaching, but in the mainstream within schools. 100% of these 1.6 million students and pupils across the Republic must be taught and accessed with the knowledge of use. Because as you can see, Juma, you and I, although we have eaten a lot of salt, you you can see we are also trying to struggle with using these things. Sometimes I don't even know I'm unmuted, and sometimes I don't know I am muted. Sometimes I'm not sure I have switched off the video, and then I start doing my own my own things. This is important because our children who are now in this time, we will expose them to this knowledge, and the government will pay to instill and install this knowledge in these children's fingers and brain. So we are doing this and shall be done. So asking about how to bring our children into this, do not carry it entirely as your burden. It is also the burden of the government, and we have set aside money. We are waiting for the parliament to approve and the treasury to release the money. We bring in as many teachers as possible who are ICT compliant and passionate to bring it into us. This is a new normal. Whatever will come on our way, we are going to do it because we are here. These are new realities, Juma. And you remember, since you were born and since Kenya became a republic, we have never had an interruption of school indefinitely. This is not something that the government had been keeping in a safe to say, in case of a pandemic that will stop schools, this is what we shall do. No, this is not unlike a symmetrical war. When we say, if we are attacked from the north, this is where our barracks are. If we are attacked from the Navy, this is where our barracks will be. So this interruption of education by closing schools because of pandemic, we were not prepared for it. And neither government was. The government of Donald Joseph Trump, the government of Boris Johnson, the government of Ashi Abe in Japan, a government of Xi Jinping. Nobody was ever ready for this thing. And that is why we have closed school. So thank you for the ideas you are giving us. I want to assure you, I am also taking notes. And it is important that I prove to you, I have been taking notes here, which I will share with the minister and share with the government at the higher echelon, so that we can also implement some of the beautiful ideas coming from all of us here, so that we can also give solution. We didn't know this, how it will end, and we are trying to listen to all of us, so that if we are here all of us together. We say in Swahili, as I finish, that kifo cha wengi ni harusi. That's a Swahili proverb, kifo cha wengi ni harusi. That if your family produces one person, my family one person, another family one person, and then we send them to Nairobi or wherever we send them to go and represent us, and they end up crashing in a river or hitting a bridge, you do not have that right to cry louder than all of us, because each has lost a son or a daughter inside that wreckage. So we celebrate that. Even if we have lost, we celebrate. And this is what I want to say. Because we have gotten into this pandemic together, parents, stakeholders, partners, governments, all over the world, we should now celebrate that God gave us a chance to be alive, for us to come up with the solutions that will fit this time. And therefore, thank you very much for what you are doing, and continue doing it. Continue doing it. Anytime you call me, I'll always come, because this is very important and nice for me.
Thank you, Waziri. Thank you, Waziri. Thank you so much for that insightful presentation. And now, I mean, we are able to see, thanks to you, the plans of the government has. And please give our recommendation to the minister, the CS, and the president, so that they know we are together in this. I want to give the chance to the panel to see whether anybody wants to volunteer to respond to any of the other questions. Maybe Dr. Divine or anyone else?
Yeah, Daniel, a lot of questions came in about access and also how teachers can adapt to this new situation. On our last call, Mr. Indamuli mentioned that Kenya had been doing a lot of capacity building for teachers, on a digital capacity, but that for some reason it wasn't taken seriously enough. So I think we do need more capacity building for teachers. Teaching online is very, very different than doing it in the classroom. So students are not as motivated in the online environment. There's a lot more that needs to get done to keep students engaged, to keep them motivated. There's lots of good ideas out there on how that can be dealt with, such as creating teacher-student groups. Students can become mentors to their peers, right, in lower grades. So lots of good ideas around that. In terms of access, there's lots of computers that companies are not using anymore. You know, companies update computers like every 2 years or something, but those 2-3-year-old computers are still, and laptops and devices for that matter, are still in perfect working order. So as companies, as the government refreshes devices, those older devices can actually be brought into networks of students and parents so that they can have access. So there's lots of issues, and I think working together across sectors is the way to go. We need a lot more school community partnerships as well going on, engaging parents, engaging different entities in the community with the school. These are resources that are right under the noses of school principals that they can leverage. In the past, maybe they felt they did not need to do that. But I think now in this time, I think more great effort can be done in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that brings us to the end of today's meeting. And on behalf of the Global Peace Foundation and our partners, I want to thank everybody who got the chance to be here today. And I would like to let you know that I think we're going to have one more call in June, the month of June. We will be happy to have you on board. And then remember, like Dr. Divine told you, we have the Global Peace Leadership Conference that is from the 30th on the 31st of July this year. We planned this, Bwana Waziri, to have it as a conference, actually in Nairobi. But because of the pandemic, conferences are not happening. So we decided that why not have it online? You know, if you can't have people, yes, if you can't have people come to Nairobi, why not have it online? And we had invited His Excellency to be the patron of that meeting. So we will we are organizing that, and we'll reach out to you, Bwana Waziri, ask His Excellency if he's able to address the whole world on Zoom.
Yeah, sure.
If you can't do that, then just get us a recording of his speech, and we will be able to air it when we have the Global Peace Leadership Conference. Please save the date. That is going to be on the 30th to 31st of July. We'll have the Global Peace Leadership Conference. For the first time, we're going to have it on a digital platform, the Zoom platform, and we will be demonstrating to the world that Corona may stop us from meeting, but we will still go ahead, with the plans that we had. Yeah, so good. So that brings us to the end. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Joe, our technical team in the US, and I want to thank our HQ, Akiko, and the team who has been Zooming these online on Facebook. And good. I think just like we did last time, we can. I will give it to one more volunteer to close by a word of prayer. And I think I can ask Mrs. Wanjala Sio to pray for us. Yes, please pray for us shortly.
All right, thank you. Okay. Oh, Lord God Almighty, we come to you with thanksgiving once again. We thank you for the grace you have bestowed upon us, the grace of life. Even amidst this pandemic, you have given us courage, you have given us hope. Thank you for the panel. Thank you for Mr. Juma and everybody in this team. May we continue to look up to you. May we continue to be guided by your spirit and just by yourself. Thank you so much for being the chair. I believe that you have been the chair today. When we meet again, let's hope, I know we shall meet again. When we meet again, I hope we shall have more energy and more understanding of what we need to do by your guidance. I pray this in your name's sake. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, and have a good time in the US. Please have a good day. I know you are just waking up and from Kenya. Please have a good night. And for those traveling, please know it's time for curfew. and be safe. Keep washing your hands and sanitizing, and let's take care of one another. Thank you so much, and may God bless all of you. Asanteni sana.
Take care, everybody.